The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Friends in Recovery podcast, the podcast that is here to help you, a loved one, or a friend get started down the road to recovery. This is the Friends in Recovery podcast, brought to you by the Genesis House. Genesis House, providing a safe, nurturing environment to heal from addiction since 1992. Please be a friend and share our message with a friend on Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or YouTube. And now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery podcast, and we are broadcasting live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. And I'll tell you, this is a slice of heaven up here. This is a beautiful place. I'm Mike Miles.
Richie Lombardi.
Chionchio.
And we'll be your host of the Friends in Recovery podcast today. Jeff Zeisel is, where is Jeff anymore?
Oh, I think he's in some foreign country today with knowing Jeff, yes.
Zimbabwe, I think
that's where we could say he's at today, yeah.
They got law enforcement over there.
He's working some deal over there, that's for
taking
sure.
Photos of zebra.
We miss you, Jeff. We love you.
Yep. Hurry back.
Yeah.
We are Friends in Recovery podcast, and we are your friends in recovery, and come get sober with us. You can reach us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. You can call us at 1-800-989-6504 or friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. Also look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure to like us and subscribe. We would like to thank the Genesis House for sponsoring Friends in Recovery podcast, as they do every week, and very fortunate to have such a reputable provider. They save lives. They put people's lives back together, families. I can't say enough about Genesis House. I've been in this business for 32 years, and I've been around, used a lot of different facilities, but I got to say that Genesis House is without a doubt gold star.
Yeah.
My point anyway. Now back to Studio 21 Podcast Cafe and our show. Ed, you got anything for us today?
I do, Mike.
Do you?
We're you guys see Richie's here with us today.
Yeah.
The step guy, and it is not a step day.
No, it's not a step day. Yes. Well, every day is a step day.
Every day
really,
is a
right?
step day, yes.
We want to be practicing those 12 steps on a daily basis.
That's
and
it.
bringing them to our lives.
Absolutely. But we called him in, and literally yesterday we called Richie in and asked him to come in because we knew Jeff kind of wasn't going to be here because he's in Zimbabwe or wherever he's at. Yeah. And we just kind of came up with a topic that's kind of near and dear to everybody's heart when you're trying to get recovery. So we were thinking of breaking the fear of recovery.
Yeah.
How to get into recovery, how to start it, how to ask for help.
Yeah.
We were all there. All three of us were there at one time.
Absolutely.
And now if anybody's listening or watching, and, I work with a lot of addicts as well as you guys do, and the first thing that they're afraid of is they want to run away. They don't want to go into treatment, and how do we break that stigma? How do we get over all of that fear? And I think is a great topic to kind of get them, to break that fear.
Well, you hear a lot of excuses, when you're trying to work with somebody, I can't leave my job, my family, my kids. These are people that haven't been home and on a consistent basis for years.
Out to lunch, liquid lunch.
They're like, basically, they come up with all these excuses, and I think it's all fear-based.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. Well, it's a fear-based disease, as we all know, right?
Absolutely.
And ungrounded, unmerited fear.
Yep.
And so it's strong. It's powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
It's like you got to, but slowly but surely we want to break that wall. We got that wall of fear, and we've been building it throughout our addiction. And through that, and that wall gets very thick and it gets very high, and we just want to start chipping away.
A
little bit at a time.
And you see people. I think sometimes I see people that they can't see the apple on their head. They are in such dire need of getting treatment, and they're using all the excuses. And the biggest excuse I always get is usually, what about my family? What about work?
Yep.
And I'm sure, Ed, you must hear that a lot.
Oh, hear it all the time. Yeah, we get people that get to the airport. Rich and I were just talking. Get to the airport and blow off their flight and lose money because they're afraid. Because maybe it's not right for them. Now that's their thinking. That stinking thinking. That's let the professionals take over. Let somebody else take over that has a clearer mind than we did when we were in that point. Or if you're out there now watching and you're afraid to get into treatment. Talk to somebody. That's what this is how it is. Let somebody else think for you for a couple minutes.
Yeah,
give yourself a break.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the old saying, what lengths are you willing to go to obtain sobriety? And, what lengths are you willing to go to? And if I usually ask somebody who's sitting across from me, I usually get the lowdown on what they're about with the family when they come. And, I ask them that question, what lengths? And it might baffle them a little bit. And they'll say, well, I'll do anything, And then as soon as you start
mentioning things,
talking about, well, where am I going? I can't go. I don't want to go away. I just can't.
I can't leave my family.
Right.
I can't go that far.
Right.
Listen, you've been even further away in your stupor. Last 10 years.
And I think it's sometimes I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about those young ladies we had on the show last week.
Oh yes.
Dana and
Sincere.
Sincere.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Hi, by the way.
Hi, ladies.
Give you a shout out. I told you I'd give you a shout out.
Women.
I was supposed to do that on my other show, but don't worry about that. And I was thinking about meeting people where they're at.
Sure.
That just came to my mind,
Yep.
like meeting people where they're at. So maybe sometimes we get them to the door, and all of a sudden they do get afraid, and maybe they change their mind.
Yep.
We don't want to disencourage him, and we don't want to try to force him.
Nope.
Maybe we have to back up a little bit, and then let's look at another avenue, maybe, right? For now, right. And we were talking earlier, and I was saying that maybe even sometimes we got to send them over to a meeting.
Yep.
I'm not ready to go into treatment. Okay, well maybe it would be good for you to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
Listen a little bit, sit there, get a little comfortable. Feel free to talk to some people and ask their thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
I've never been in an AA meeting or a recovery meeting where anybody ever discouraged me.
Right.
No.
When I said, do I need to be in treatment or, how should I get some help? They've never really discouraged me.
Nope.
In my private practice, on Sunday nights, I go to a meeting, and it starts at 7. So I always offer newcomers, people that are willing to get sober, people that want to go to meetings, meet me at my office 6:30.
Yeah.
And we'll convoy over. And I've had five cars follow me some nights.
Yeah.
And that if someone had done that to me, I don't know whether I would have bit or not. I really don't know. But I figured that if somebody wants to go to a meeting, they've never been there, they're scared. You know how it is. You're shaking, you're rattling, you're rolling. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But if someone's willing to take me to a meeting, if someone was, and I'd sit there and observe everything that was going on, I think I would understand it. But I just find it's, especially nowadays with these opiate, it's just, they're so afraid to let go because if they've gone a day or 2 days or 3 days without any product.
Hours now with that fentanyl, it's hours. They can't go hours without it.
Right. And you're not dealing with someone who's rational. You're not dealing with someone whose emotions are intact at all,
Yep.
And one more thing I just want to say. I was just doing this on the way here, that's why I'm late, is I was on the phone trying to get someone to either get sectioned, which means it's out of their hands. The police intervene, court intervenes, nursing staff, doctors intervene, or have them go on their own, and that's what I've been going back and forth with for 40 minutes with somebody. And hopefully they get it. If they don't, there's consequences to that also. Right.
The families suffer. Everybody suffers as far as the addict ends up. You and I were talking either institutions, jails, or death.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And that's
especially with the heroin and the fentanyl now.
Yeah, you jump from going into treatment to death. Sometimes there's no in between. Right. You're lucky if you go to jail because at least it'll save your life for a couple days.
It's
you know what I mean?
A lot of difference. I remember my first night in treatment. It was a place called Seminole Point, Sunapee, New Hampshire. It was 32 years ago, and I got to tell you, it was in the middle of the World Series, Red Sox World Series with the Mets.
That was the last place you wanted to be.
Yeah, that's the last place. and I went through the detox, and I woke up the next day, and they'd given me some Librium, I believe, or something to calm me down. And I had a dual addiction, booze and drugs. And I woke up, and there was a guy drinking a cup of coffee, and his hands were shaking so bad that the coffee was going everywhere but in his mouth.
Yeah.
And his name was Jack B. And he he was an old timer. He was probably my age then, but I looked around. I said, "What the hell am I doing here?"
Yeah. I'm not as bad as they are.
But I got to tell you, that 32 days, every day, I knew I needed it. I got to get acclimated to.
Yes, well, as we break through that fear, if we just get through the fear, if we could just get through that fear, you're going to see the results. It's just going to be automatically, it's just going to get better.
Absolutely.
Once you admit and you can take that next step, like it's when we were younger and mom and dad said, jump in the pool, I'm going to catch you.
Right.
How you were so afraid to jump.
Right.
But once you jumped, you were in the safety of their arms.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And same thing with our kids,
Right.
It's we're not going to let them fall. Right. So anybody out there, when we're telling you this, we're not going to let you fall. Mm-hmm. When you're in our care, we're not going to let you fall.
It's funny that you say that because I remember, depending, you got to be careful who you're listening to, too.
Well, that's true, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'll give you an example. Talk about jumping your mother's arms to swim, right? So I'm at a camp out with a bunch of guys from the boys club, and we're at this pool, and, I hadn't learned how to swim yet. And one of my buddies says, "Oh, jump in. Don't worry, you'll be fine." And, of course, I was sick. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. And I jumped in, and the next thing you know, I started to drown.
Oh, man.
And thank God there was a lifeguard there, and she came over and she grabbed me and pushed me over to the side of the pool, and I was able to grab onto the side. Yeah. But I was never more scared. And then from there, I had to be careful who I listened to.
That is true.
And then,
that is true.
Of course, thank God I stepped through the fear because eventually I listened to the right people. I learned how to swim, and then the rest is history.
Absolutely.
You're a gold medal swimmer, aren't you?
Well, no, I don't know about gold medal. No, that gold medal anchor. I don't know. I'm a gold medal anchor. But then it's the same thing in recovery. Yeah. Right, like let
go and let go.
Yeah, and some of as you know, so I work at the sheriff's department, and I'm a counselor there, and I work with these guys every day. Some guys I'll work with for 4, 5, 6 months. I'll get them over the hump. I'll knock them through the fear. We'll be discussing steps and all these other things, and then they'll say, "Yeah, I want to go. I want to go to a place," and then I will do the work to get them there, and then. But I got to do this every single day because what happens is they go back out into the negativity and then they start talking to these other negative resources and then they're saying, "Oh, you can't do that. You don't want to go there.
That place sucks.
Yeah. Then they come back. Then they come back the next day and I'm like, I gotta re-energize them again.
I do.
I mean, it just recently happened to me. I had a guy leaving that day and then started listening to negative influences and decided that he didn't want to go.
Right.
Yeah. And it's frustrating and it's sad. Right. And, of course, I have to tell him the truth. My hope is that you make it. Matter of fact, I met with him today, and he's out working now. And I said, "You been going to any meetings?" And he said, "Well, I'm working from 12 to 9. And I'm like, 12 to 9? I'm like, "You're not getting to any meetings. You're going to get sick."
Yeah.
And I said, "You better start getting back to the Sunday meeting. At least get one meeting a day." For what's available.
Yeah, exactly.
Ed, do you have a list there of some of the fears or some of the
I do. Mike, I did write down a bunch of fears and everything. The one that, and I think we all even as addicts up here, we can even identify with this one, is that everyone will now know that I'm an addict.
Oh, yeah,
I think
scary.
Like they didn't know, right?
Exactly. I think we're the last as addicts.
We are.
You know what I mean? The family knows, the barber knows, the policeman. Everybody knows. And family, everybody knows. So that's my biggest fear. Is everybody's going to know. Cold feet. Another big one. What do I tell my job? There's a lot of people out there are working. They're what do we call them? Functional alcoholics, functional addicts.
Yeah.
What do I tell my job? My job. Sometimes you can hide it pretty well from your job because they're not around you. They're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Around the addict.
But I think even now, though, with the way that recovery has progressed and recovery is an okay thing now, the stigma is less. A lot of companies now have EAP, and it's a private thing.
Right.
You can call up the EAP. So if you're having issues and you're working for a company, get that number. It's private. You talk to someone. At least get see if you can get some positive feedback.
EAP for all you guys want to let you guys know.
You guys do stuff with that anyway, right?
Is an
I'm an EAP for this.
Yeah, there you go.
An employee assistance program.
Right.
So there's a designated person such as Mike or somebody out there that you can call. Like Rich was saying, you can call them and figure out,
talk privately.
I think it's important if anyone's listening to just to stop here for a minute and just say this. if you have a job, if you're a valued employee, all right, and you think nobody knows, and maybe they don't, but most people will know something.
Yeah.
If you're an alcoholic and you're functional and you're going to work every day, trust me, people know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
if you're a
If
drug
your
addict,
eyes are pinned,
They know. Oh, yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
But, you know, most employers have an obligation.
now.
Yes.
They're not being kind-hearted. They have an obligation to help you.
Yep.
All right? That's part of it. And if you're a valued employee,
Yeah.
they want the best employee they can have.
Yeah, they do.
And, you know, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to call them. And if you are afraid, call me.
Yeah.
Find someone you
You
can
know,
trust.
978-833-0187. 978-833-0187. I'll give you some suggestions.
Yep.
Call our 800 number,
Yeah.
1-800-989-6504. Don't think that there's no one out there that
we're here.
can't give you that information.
Absolutely.
And, you know, once you've admitted you have a problem and you're seeking help, 90%, I believe 90% of employees, they want the best employee
They do.
can have.
They do.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they'll be with you. And they'll know somebody in their own lives that have had situations similar.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Mike, I'd like to talk more about the job and everything, and maybe we'll take a quick break.
Yep.
Sure.
And then
Sure.
we'll talk a little bit more about the job and maybe families when we come back.
Sounds good. You're listening to Friends of Recovery Podcast live from Studio 21 Podcast Café, and we'll be back in several seconds.
Put that hammer down and check out the Don't Do It Yourself podcast. The Don't Do It Yourself podcast is a weekly podcast where Tommy Two Shoes and No Nonsense Nance sit down with a different specialist every week. If you're tired of unvetted and uninsured contractors charging too much money for not enough quality, you need to check out the Don't Do It Yourself podcast, the Contractors Referral Program. The Don't Do It Yourself podcast is live on YouTube every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. or on demand on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast catcher. Put that hammer down and don't do it yourself. Genesis House is a premier substance abuse and rehabilitation facility located in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. We have been providing the highest quality of addiction treatment since 1992 and are accredited by the Joint Commission. We offer a range of programs that include detox, residential treatment, dual diagnosis, a Christian track for people who want to incorporate their faith into treatment, a uniform services track, and we work with most major insurance carriers. Genesis House is led by a dedicated team of administrative and clinical professionals, and we stand on our commitment to excellence in recovery services. Contact us today to find out more about our program. Take the first step and call Genesis House at 800-737-0933 or visit us on the web at www.genesishouse.net. That's 800-737-0933 or www.genesishouse.net. Begin your journey to a long and successful recovery with Genesis House.
Soul Sessions is an intuitive life coaching service that provides a safe place for everyone to get the guidance they are seeking. Intuitive life coach Shanti Sincere Slade uses her powerful gifts of empathy, spiritual connection, intuition, human experience, and conscious listening to provide a safe place to evolve and shed light on the truth of who we all are, brilliant divine beings. Remembering ourselves as spiritual beings helps us to navigate through the human experience with more gratitude and ease. For more information or to book a free 30-minute telephonic consultation, please visit our website at www.soulsessions.com. That's www.SOEL for Seeing Ourselves Evolve Lovingly, sessions with an S.com. We can all use a little guidance.
Richie Lombardi, the Step Guy, joins us once a month on the second Tuesday, where we plan to get in-depth with each of the 12 steps to recovery. Come get sober with the Friends in Recovery podcast and Rich, the Step Guy, Lombardi. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to get this and every episode each and every week.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Friends in Recovery Podcast. Excuse me. We're podcasting live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. And I'm Mike Miles.
Rich Lombardi.
Ed Chionchio.
Yep.
Hey.
We're here discussing fears and emotions and just difficulty trying to get into recovery and all the dynamics that go with it.
Time takes time. Time takes time.
You know what that means, Mike?
I think it means, though, that it's time to talk about time takes time.
That's right. Time takes time. We'd like to welcome to the Time Takes Time portion of the show, sponsored by Genesis House. This is where we ask our friends in recovery to email us your sober anniversary so that we can celebrate them with you. I would like to congratulate the following people. Don K, 1 year, Seaside, New Jersey. I used to hang out in Seaside all the time in my day, in those days.
I understand.
And Don, keep up the good work. If you're in Seaside, go to meetings every day. Especially with 1 year.
Is that where Snooki was?
That's where she was. Oh, yeah.
Boy,
yeah,
I watched her last night.
Oh, yeah. Jeff D, 6 months, South Brunswick, New Jersey. Marianne N, 1 year, Freehold, New Jersey. And Guy O, 10 years, Sandwich, Massachusetts.
Sandwich, yeah.
There is a Sandwich, Massachusetts.
I got relatives down
Do
there.
you?
God, yeah.
All right.
Very
all
nice.
right.
Give a shout out to them.
They're good.
Nice little neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Daniel Webster Hotel. Beautiful
And
place.
now it's time for a sincere moment with Shanti Sincere Slade, brought to you by Soul Sessions.
Welcome to a sincere moment with Shanti Sincere Slade. And today we're going to talk about appeasing and how it is never the season for appeasing. You know, a lot of times we might have made choices in our lives that didn't serve us, and we affected people and mostly affected ourselves in ways that did not serve us. And we wind up trying to prove how we've become better, you know, and we tend to appease. And we don't set the boundaries when we do that. So you have to see yourself as more than you are seeing yourself. Change the lens that you're looking through so you can set those boundaries so you don't feel the need to appease. It's not the season for appeasing. We don't want to cause resentment by giving too much of ourselves because we see less of ourselves. Well, that's appeasing with Shanti Sincere Slade.
Don't you love Shanti?
That's awesome.
Did you listen to her?
great.
Yeah, she's got a great
Oh,
voice.
man, I'll tell you, there'd be some great...
Not the season for appeasing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be a normal segment on our
Yeah,
show.
that's
So
awesome.
look for those.
Hello, ladies.
Yep. Hello, ladies. So,
Yeah.
So we were talking about breaking the fear of recovery, and we were kind of talking about the job. We were kind of coming to the tail end of that, and you know that's a real fear of people. They don't want to go away, or they don't want to get into treatment because their boss might know.
Financial insecurity.
Yeah. You know, quick story about me when I was working at the big orange box. I don't want to say any names. I was there a long time, and I knew I had a problem, and I had a guy that I can trust there, and I told him, I said, I don't know what to do. And he wasn't in recovery or anything, and he said, well, I'll cover for you. Now, this was 24 years ago. It was EAPs were around, but they weren't,
I understand. Yeah, it was different then.
It was way different. And he said, I'll cover for you. We'll just say your grandmother died, and, you know, you go away for a while. And I ended up going away for 30 days.
Yeah, you were lucky.
Yeah, and you know, I was afraid because my I had insurance, but I told the place I didn't have insurance because there was no HIPAA regulations. I didn't know who was going to get a hold of my information.
Right.
You know, we're very well protected now.
Yeah.
Once we make that commitment, we're super protective. Way back when, I didn't know any of that, and still, I'm sure there's people afraid out there their job is going to find out and all that stuff. And that's where Mike comes in, and that's where Jeff. Obviously, he's not here today, but that's where people like that come in to help protect your jobs.
Yeah, well, interesting that you say that. I was at a recovery function up in New Hampshire, and I don't know if you know, but up in New Hampshire, they just implemented, the governor implemented a jobs, recovery jobs, like in other words, if you're having trouble at work or whatever, you don't have to be afraid anymore. You can go to your boss, and they're going to help you to get into treatment or do whatever's necessary to do that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
So we've come a long way.
Oh yeah.
We've come a long way.
Trying to hide behind you know, the tool rack and cocaine and alcohol, but I did all of it way back when. But yeah, absolutely. You know, people. You know, Mike, you said something interesting. You know, people don't want to lose their good employees.
Right.
They want to, you know, because it takes. Time takes time. You gotta train them. You gotta hope that it's as good as that guy was. You know what I mean? Brand new guy. Maybe they're not interested in a job like, you know, Bob Smith was or whatever when he had that job. So, you know, it's important that you keep your job when you go into treatment. You know, and you know, get back into that job because you were doing a great job.
Sure. My own experience, I think, is a unique experience because 32 years ago, I went away for recovery, and I'd been a police officer for 5 years, and I had an alcohol and drug problem, which was unheard of.
Yeah.
And I had to fight to keep my job.
Oh, yeah.
And I did, and I fought to keep it, and I was very fortunate, and it's a long story, but the bottom line is, as a result of that, 32 years later, I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of police officers, correctional officers, and their families. I have my own private practice for 18 years, but prior to that, I was the guy that you'd call. I was on national TV, World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, about a cop with an alcohol-drug problem who successfully went back to work. Now I'm getting phone calls from Pittsburgh, Washington State, Virginia, New Hampshire, Connecticut, all over. Police departments, cops calling me, presidents of unions. Hey, how did you do it? What did you do? It was I don't want to say I'm a pioneer, but it was kind of a time when if you had an alcohol problem, they'd cover for you as long as they could. And then if you really messed up, you were gone. But if you had a drug problem, an illicit drug problem, even if you had a prescription drug problem, you would have been gone.
Yeah.
So my point is, by stepping forward, my biggest fear was people finding out, and so many years into my recovery, they made me the EAP. I got an education, but they made me the EAP.
It's amazing how, like you say, and you go into it with a little bit of fear, but then you break through the fear, and then that fear becomes an asset.
Yeah, it does.
And now you're an asset to the community. You're an asset, even though you've had all these difficulties in the past, and maybe you messed up, but now you break through that fear, you get treatment, you get into recovery. And then all of a sudden, those liabilities become assets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
real quick, guys, I forgot on the time takes time portion. I forgot to say how to contact us. So did I say the?
You did.
I did.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Well, you can remind me. Why don't you talk about some mugs and some T-shirts?
I could talk about that too. Well, real quick, the time takes time portion. Just email us your first name, last initial, city, state, and anniversary date, so we can get it on there, and email that to help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. I'm getting a lot of emails, so people just bear with me.
Congratulations.
And I answer every email that that's sent to me.
You're good like that.
Yes, absolutely. And mugs.
for mine.
Mugs. We got our mugs. We got our mugs.
Jonathan, he's good like that.
Nice. Salud.
And there's water in here today.
Water today,
And then we also have our great T-shirts too. So
I wish I had them with me.
Email us.
They're going fast.
They are. They're going real quick. We just got an order and they're almost out, I think.
Right.
So
They're lovely T-shirts, black. They have the red emblem on them, and it says Friends of Recovery Podcast. And then on the back it says Podfather.
That's who you are, Mike.
Huge
Podfather.
letters. And people just love the Podfather.
They do. And the mug has the same logo on it for all you guys
that
can
mug.
see.
That real mug.
It's got to be the mug. Yeah.
Sorry about it. We had to get all the business out of the way. Sorry about that.
And what else? Oh, yeah, and I wanted to give a shout-out to the Lawrence District Court, the clerk's office, Michelle. I've been telling her, I was promising her we were going to say hi to her, so I just want to reach out and say hi to Michelle.
Yep.
All right, good.
Very
So
good.
We had to get all that business out of the way. Now the other part of this is, and I know we don't have too much time here, but is the family piece.
Yes.
You and I, Rich, we were talking before. The family can work super hard to get the loved one into treatment, but that doesn't help.
No.
Sometimes
it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
But
but generally, in my experience, it's you got to bring the horse to the barn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I would get calls at my when I was running sober houses and things of that nature. The parents, they're concerned that their son has just overdosed or their daughter, and they want to get him into a safe environment, living environment. And then they would talk, and then they say, "What do you need?" And this, that, and the other thing. And then I would say, "Well, have you talked to them?"
Right.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
a lot of times they haven't talked to them yet. They're trying to do all the work.
Right.
And then next thing you know, I said, well, if you want, have them call me.
Yep.
Let me talk to them. Let me assess the situation. And let's make sure they really want to come.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes, a lot of times they wouldn't come.
Exactly. Sometimes when the family members are there, the addict can manipulate them. They know what to say to them. They know how to say it and smooth it over. Because that's what we were good at, smoothing it over until the next bomb blew up. And then we can kind of fix that bomb that we just messed up and get them back on the path again.
No one could calm my mother and my father better than me, unfortunately. You know what I mean?
Yep,
and,
absolutely.
And it has to do with your heart.
Yeah.
Right. Your parents, they love you. They care for you.
Yep.
Your people, your wife, your daughter, whatever. Yep. They love you.
Yep.
And sometimes that it tears.
Yeah, love and enabling, they
could kill you.
They're so similar.
They are.
They just go hand in hand.
A fine line between the love and enabling.
It takes a strong parent, a loved one to to say enough's enough.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
absolutely.
either get help or get out.
Yeah.
And
I had my daughter in treatment, and I refused to do an intervention because I can do them. I know how to do interventions, and I did plenty of them. But when it comes to your own loved ones, you gotta sometimes
Kevin Dixon,
back.
correct?
I did. Kevin Dixon, he did a
best.
wonderful, the best intervention is definitely out there. Actually, you can find him
guy.
one of our episodes. He's on one of our episodes.
Great guy.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we're going to have hopefully some intervention talk towards the end of the month, maybe.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Well, we have stay tuned for all that.
So it can tear at the heart, and so we want to just make sure that and let's encourage them.
Yep.
And if they want to come and they want to get into treatment, let's bring them there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and don't family members, don't do it alone. Mike gives out his cell phone number. Mike, you want to give that out?
978-833-0187.
Because
anytime.
that is not just for the addict. That's for the family members too.
Right.
Our 800 number, the website, email. Get a hold of any of us on here, up here, and we'll help you. You don't have to do it alone. This is not a project that you do alone, or I can handle it, or I'll talk to my son or my daughter or my loved one on my own, because it's not going to work.
Yeah, and the great news is we have between the three of us and our other friend Jeff, we have connections throughout the country.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been all over the place in recovery, and you're from the New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania area. You're from the western part, Lowell and all that area, Lawrence, and I'm from down the North Shore.
Yep.
So we're like all over the place, and so we can help.
Yeah, I travel all over the place, and I see programs all the time. And if you don't want to go to Florida, you can go to California. You don't want to go to California, you can go to Minneapolis. You don't want to Minneapolis, you come up here to Boston. Wherever, don't hesitate, because you know what? If you hesitate nowadays, you can die.
Yeah.
You can die, like we were talking earlier. And if you're thinking about it, or if your loved one, you want to get him to treatment, I'll wait that day. You know what? You find them dead in a bed or something.
A lot of people are afraid to go away. They think going away, I'm going away.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I know from experience, just not with me, but hundreds of people that I've helped get into treatment. You got to let professionals evaluate you. You need to see a doctor. You need to see a mental health provider. You really do. Your family needs to see a mental health provider. They need to speak to a counselor. They need some advice. If you're a teen or a young adult, and you have a problem and you're hiding it, give us a call. We'll help you out.
Absolutely.
If you're an older person, you live alone, give us a call. And if you're a family man, you're going to work, or a family woman, and you're in a relationship, and you have people that rely on you, don't be afraid. They'll get by. You're going to come back a better product. And it doesn't mean you're going to go away forever. Some people don't have to go away. Some people just need a detox. And some meetings. And that doesn't cost nothing.
Therapy.
The detox you can find in your local town, lots of them. It won't cost you a nickel. Just
absolutely.
All the unanswered questions running around in your mind,
talk to somebody.
Because there's no future in being an addict.
No. And I always say, once you make that call, it's the beginning to an end. It's a good beginning to an end, because you're going to put that horrid life away. We all three of us did it up here, and you're going to start this new wonderful life.
And we only got to give up one or two things to get everything.
Yes,
so if it's alcohol or drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
And the other thing big this week I heard, obviously, is unfortunately they're mixing some fentanyl with some cocaine now. So be careful on that area. Because it's not always what you think it is.
Absolutely.
Well, fellas, it's the end of the show.
Wow.
Well, it goes quick, guys.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time takes time, too. Don't forget that.
Things I must earn. Things I must earn.
That's right.
Thanks for today's show. And we are your Friends in Recovery podcast. And we are broadcasting live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. Lovely place. Don't forget, you can reach us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. 1-800-989-6504 is our 800 number. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure to like us and subscribe, and come get sober with us.
Amen, brother. Remember, those mugs and T-shirts are going quick, so let's get them, everybody. Thanks.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.